So let me just start by saying that I'm calling the meeting to order. And as far as the agenda is concerned, we have the same agenda that was posted on the website 7 days ago, except for the addition of a short presentation from Georgetown University about a proposed boathouse. And other than that, it just follows what we've posted online. Um, can I get approval for the agenda?
You need a second?
Yeah, I guess so. A second, and all in favor? 5-0 in favor of approving the agenda. Officer McElwee, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yes, good afternoon. I can't get my video to go on. It says the host has enabled the video. Cannot start the video because it is disabled by the host.
Try that.
Uh, I guess it helps to turn my. There we go. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. I'm Officer McElwee, your traffic officer, as well as the officer assigned for your community liaison with all the crime reports that go on in PSA 205. I'm going to start off with the last 30 days. We had 17 offenses. I'm going to break them down. We had one robbery while armed. We had 3 burglaries, 4 motor vehicle thefts, 4 theft from autos, and 4 general thefts. Let's start off with the assault and robbery. I'm sorry, the assault with a deadly weapon occurred on February 7th within the 5100 block of Yuma Court. This was domestic related and involved 2 siblings. One of the siblings was arrested and removed from the home without incident. The robbery occurred on February 17th at approximately 4:50 a.m. in the morning along the 4300 block of Lowell Street. The victim was walking along Lowell Street when a white sedan pulled up, and 4 suspects wearing black masks all exited the vehicle and displayed weapons and demanded that the victim turn over his cell phone, for which he did. It should be noted that this incident was connected to a string of robberies that had occurred that evening into the early morning hours involving this particular car, which was involved in a carjacking and 2 other robberies outside PSA 205. 2 of the suspects in this robbery were apprehended the following day after they shot at a Metro Transit unmarked police vehicle, which subsequently resulted in a car chase, which ended up in Montgomery County. 4 of the individuals bailed out of the car. 2 of the suspects were apprehended. The case is still open as our detectives are investigating and connecting up with the 2 other suspects, which I believe is going to occur very shortly, sooner than later. Both the carjacked vehicle and the suspects' vehicles have been recovered and are being processed. And if I learn of any other details, I'll share it with the commissioners via email. The burglary occurred on February 15th at approximately 3:15 a.m. Our officers responded to a report of a burglar alarm at the MacArthur beverage store located at 4877 MacArthur Boulevard. Upon our unit's arrival, they observed that the front window had been smashed out. Entry had been made. Suspects had fled the scene prior to our arrival. At the same time, the Black Salt restaurant next door to the beverage place, or 2 stores down, also had its front window broken out, and they entered the store. Both the stores had their cash registers tampered with. The beverage place, they didn't have any currency in there, and then there was a disclosed amount of cash, I believe, removed from the one at Black Salt. Our detectives are reviewing cameras, and it's an ongoing investigation. 4300 block of Westover Place, we had a burglary. They reported that there was a large amount of jewelry that was stolen from inside that residence. No signs of forced entry. We are investigating that as well. The three motor vehicle thefts that occurred, I'll just go over the dates and the times and the locations to give you an idea. February 28th, 5,000 block of Lowell Street. Stolen was a 2019 Toyota Land Cruiser. February 15th, 4100 block of Mass Avenue. Stolen was a 2005 BMW sedan. February 14th, 4600 block of Green Place, 2022 Volkswagen SUV. And February 12th, 2300 King Place, 2024 Toyota sedan was stolen. Our Officer Pontost, he's our auto thefts investigator. He is looking into all four of these. And if I learn of any recoveries, I will put it out there. The fourth theft from autos occurred, just to put it out there, just in case it's in your neighborhood, so you know this is going around, and there's been some theft from autos, particularly the 5,000 block of Sherrier Place on February 15th, and the next day, the 5,700 block of Sherrier Place. So someone's creeping around back there. They broke out the windows and removed items that were in plain view. 3,100 block of Chain Bridge Road, which really isn't too far from Sherrier Place. That occurred between February 14th and the 16th. And February 13th, if anybody out there lives in the 5,000 block of Overlook Road, we had a theft from auto. Again, as I ask at every meeting, please try and remove your valuables from your vehicles when you park them unattended. Lock and alarm the car doors. Myself and our outreach person, Miss Branch at the 2nd District, we actually went out last Thursday and did some crime prevention, and we went and we looked into some vehicles that were parked throughout PSA 205, and we looked into 133 vehicles. And out of the 133 vehicles that we looked inside, 88 of those vehicles had things in plain view, like purses, wallets, backpacks. So what we did was we have these little pink, they look like tickets, and we put them on the windshields of the vehicles that left things in plain view. And we know they'll pick it up because they see it's pink. They think they have the ticket, and then they'll read it. And hopefully they'll learn from our courtesy knock, of leaving the pink slip reminding them to remove their items will prevent them from ever becoming a victim. Finally, we had 4 general thefts, which involved mainly package thefts from front porches and a retail theft at the Walgreens on New Mexico Avenue. I want to put it out there on the airwaves that Lieutenant Collin, he's your PSA, our PSA team leader for PSA 205, and myself will be conducting a community walk at 11 a.m. next Wednesday, the 18th of March. And we chose the area of where the 2 burglaries occurred in front of the MacArthur Beverage Store in Black Salt. We will be out there with our counterparts, such as the mayor's office will be there, DDOT, DPW, and some folks from, I believe, CISOSA will be there. Please come out if you can. Again, that's next Wednesday, the 18th at 11 a.m. We'll be out there for about an hour and a half. Moving into traffic, no major traffic accidents. Last month we spent most of our time covered with snow on the streets. But fortunately we didn't have many accidents. We had a few slip and slides, rear ends, stuff like that. But even though with all that snow that we had, the 2nd District wrote 476 moving violations for the month of February. That's everything from red light running to cell phone violations to tenant windows, covered tags, and stop signs. And finally, after Commissioner Elkin put it out there to change our locations around for stop sign, I targeted 45th and Lowell, and I wrote 7 notices of infraction for stop sign violations out there. With that said, I'm open for suggestions, complaints, concerns.
Any Commissioner Elkins?
Well, just two things, Officer. First of all, I think going out and putting slips on people's windows about their having things in their car, I think that's a benefit not just to the person whose car taking, not you're leafleting, but it's also a benefit to the whole community because the more we have automobiles with these things inside, the more these people come back and look at every automobile. So thank you for doing that. I think that's a great way of doing it. The other thing I wanted to say, you told the story of the armed robbery on Lowell Street in a very matter-of-fact way, but I know because I was in communication with you that capturing of the two of those four was not a simple matter. This is something that the whole department was involved in, not the whole department, but that you're very active searching for those people. And it wasn't just a matter of luck that your department found those people. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. And it's a little bit of luck, but we share our information with all seven districts, plus our counterparts like Park Police, as well as Metro Transit. And it was Metro Transit that encountered the vehicle, and they exchanged. The Metro officer didn't shoot, but they shot at the car and struck the car. And the Metro Transit officers began the chase, and it ended with a crash. Nobody was injured, and two of them were subsequently arrested. But it's the information that we convey out there. I mean, once a crime goes out, it gets spread out right over the radio waves, on our emails, so we get it out there quickly.
That's good. Thank you for doing that.
Any other questions for Officer McElwee? Officer McElwee, you probably already know this, but I was at Sangamore they have a liquor store there in the shopping center about 4 weeks ago, and they had the same type of burglary where they crash in the glass window. So it may be related.
It most likely probably is related. Our theft from autos, they jump over into Montgomery County, commit it, they come over here, and so are the robberies. And that's exactly what happened. We got them over in Montgomery County. We chased them from the city into the Montgomery County. And we work closely, our teams, both our officers and Montgomery County, as well as PG County. We all work together hand in hand. And as I conclude, I just want to put it out there, the vacation checks. I will put my email address in the chat box. And if anybody's interested in a 4-hour ride along with me, you can email me. We can set that up too. That's a perk that the Metropolitan Police Department allows, and I encourage anybody that's interested, would like to take advantage of it. Come on out and you can see what we do and make some car stops and go on some calls. We'll keep you safe too. Won't run you into anything dangerous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everybody have a nice evening.
Let's turn to our moker, Mr. Cox.
Good evening, everyone. As someone who's gone on the ride along with Officer McElwee, I can highly recommend it. It's very interesting, and you learn a lot. Hi, everyone. My name is William Owen Cox. I'm the Ward 3 liaison for the mayor's office. Just one announcement. There's no fixed date as of yet, but in April, we're going to have a spring cleanup at Guy Mason Recreation Center. It is tentatively scheduled for April 11th, but I'll follow up with the commissioners once we get a fixed date for that. But we hope you come out. It's fun and interesting, and we're trying to get some local businesses to maybe get some catering, things like that. So we'll try and make it fun, and it's a nice way to help out one of our local recreation centers that we all like to enjoy. One other quick announcement is that DPW is going to be resuming its spring services coming up in April 1st. So that will include things like graffiti removal, street sweeping, things like that. Please continue to use 311 for any issues. And if there are sticking issues that haven't been resolved in the time that 311 says they should be, feel free to reach out to me and I can flag those to the relevant agencies to make sure they get looked at. But that's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good night.
Let's turn to Councilmember Fruman's office. Ashley Mercer.
Good evening. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of updates, but we will be having Workday and Award March 26th in Spring Valley at Compass Coffee. Well, it still is Compass Coffee for now, but we will also, CS will be in the ward tomorrow at Tinleytown Library from 12:30 to 2:30. If you have any constituent service concerns, feel free to drop on by. We'll be in conference room number 1 at the Tinleytown Library.
Very good. Are there any questions for Ashley Mercer? I'm going to just mention, I saw something today that Councilmember Fruman's Committee on Human Services has received the bill to legalize poker and blackjack. And I was just wondering if you knew anything about that, whether that's moving in any way, or if you have no idea, whether you could just find out what's the story.
Yeah, I do not, but I can definitely find out what the story is, Mr. Horn. No problem. And I'll follow it with you as soon as I find out.
Any other questions? Let's move to the colleges. I see I don't see anyone from American. Is Kevin Days?
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you. I have two quick announcements. I just want to invite the community to two events that are happening on the Mount Vernon campus. One is the women's lacrosse game, which is on Saturday, March 21st from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We're going to be having a tailgating party. We want to invite the community members to come out to help cheer along our GW team and enjoy the atmosphere on a Saturday afternoon. The only other new initiative we're starting is a new textile marketplace initiative. And so we're looking for some donations. So if you have yarn or thread or knitting and crochet needles, sewing machines, equipment, fabric, any kinds, all scraps will be accepted. We want to encourage you to visit the Mount Vernon campus, drop that stuff off at the Webb building, which is the small building that's the small house located just to the right of the soccer field, and we'll be putting that out. So those are my announcements. I'll drop my contact information in the chat, and I'll answer any questions if there in fact are any.
Does anyone have any questions for Kevin Days? I don't see any. Why don't we move on to Corey Peterson? Corey, is there anything you want to say now, or is everything you have to say later?
I'll just give a couple of quick updates if I can.
Right.
Perfect. Right now, we're in the middle of spring break, so that continues through the rest of this week. So the students will be back beginning Monday, March 9th. And before your next ANC meeting, we will go on Easter break as a Catholic Jesuit institution. That'll be from April 2nd to April 7th. So the students will depart and go home for that break. And then the last update is our Lombardi Comprehensive Cancer Center is having their 38th annual Lombardi Gala. That's coming up on March 14th. I'll drop some information in the chat on that. Just in case you're not aware, it's the only National Cancer Institute designated comprehensive cancer center in the metro region area. So we're excited about that and would hope to have you join us.
Very good. Anyone have questions for Mr. Peterson? Seeing none, I don't see anyone from Wesley. Is Sherry Rutherford, did you want to say anything?
Yes, if I could, I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, Commissioner Horn and the rest of the commission. I'm actually here tonight on behalf of St. Patrick's Episcopal Day School. And as many of you are aware, the day school has been in talks with neighbors over the past several months about some long-range facilities planning work that they've been endeavoring and taking on. And I'm very pleased to announce tonight, as part of that effort, the school has announced that they are looking to develop a plan to relocate their middle school program to a new building on Whitehaven Parkway, adjacent to their existing gymnasium building. So again, this effort's really important to help unify the campus, to make best use of their resources, to streamline their operations, and quite frankly, to mitigate the impact on the surrounding residential community. So this is a very exciting time for St. Patrick's as they work towards unifying their lower and middle school on the Whitehaven campus. At the same time, they are looking to revisit the use of the Foxhall field. There's some limitations on that field that we'd like to see if we can expand use a bit for the school, as well as for mission-aligned institutions and other schools. We understand the dearth of playing fields and open space for district youth, and really want to be part of the solution to that problem. So the reason I'm here tonight is to let you know that as part of this effort, and to make sure our BZA application is informed by community input and feedback, before we even put that application together, St. Patrick's Schools will be embarking on a comprehensive community planning effort, which will launch with 2 upcoming community meetings. The first will be in person at the school on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, appropriately. And then we'll have follow-up with a Zoom meeting on the 19th as well. There'll be plenty of opportunities for additional engagement with neighbors based on neighbors' schedules and the interest, but we really thought 2 open community meetings would be the best way to start this process. So there will be letters going out to community members. We're going to post it on the listserv. I'll ask the ANC to please post it as well. I also put an email in the chat that you can reach out to, campusunification@stpatsdc.org, to reach out to us if you have any questions about the project as we get started. But we really are at the beginning of this planning process, and I just wanted to take an opportunity tonight to introduce it to the ANC and invite you all to participate in our process. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I assume that this will be brought back to the ANC at some point in the coming months.
Right.
Asking us to take action.
Absolutely. So, I expect if things go well, we'd like to file an application later this spring. But again, it's really it's very important for us to start talking to our neighbors, understanding impacts related to traffic, parking, things like that. Make sure that our application reflects all of that feedback and those concerns. But again, would like to file by the spring so that we would have a hearing hopefully before the summer recess, and obviously would be working hand in hand with the ANC through that process.
Very good. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you again. Good to see you all.
Let's move to commissioner updates. Commissioner Elkins?
I don't have anything except just to say that for those in the audience, if they're interested in the letter related to Horace Mann, we did make some updates just this late afternoon. You'll find the updated letter on the website, and we'll be taking it up later in the agenda.
Great. Commissioner Cologne Roosevelt?
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Blumenthal?
Yes, I have an update. So, as I think most of the folks in the room know, there was a community meeting hosted last week by the Palisades Community Association in which DDOT, our Department of Transportation, presented the nearly final, they call them 90% plans regarding the Arizona Avenue pedestrian bridge and connecting trail, which we tend to refer to as the trolley trail. This announcement is that our Go Vocal community engagement site for that project is now up. You can access it via our webpage, ANC3D.org. It's the project link is in the big red community engagement box at the top of the page. Very easy to find, ANC3D.org. If you go there, you'll find links to a recorded version of last week's meeting, to the slides that were presented there. And there are multiple opportunities to leave feedback on at least 4 different specific ideas presented in that plan. You can leave a comment, you can go thumbs up or thumbs down, you can leave whatever you want. You can even add your own ideas to the list. It does require a fairly straightforward registration, name and email. And I passed along from Commissioner Duncan, who did most of the work putting that together, that if you have any issues accessing it or just any trouble, to email Commissioner Duncan, or you can email me. Someone emailed, I think it was today, to say, hey, the thumbs down button, you can go thumbs up, you can't go thumbs down. She had left, the default setting didn't have the thumbs down. She added that. And the Commissioner Duncan will also be posting notice of this she did today on the Palisades listserv, and will be sending another notice regularly over the next 3 weeks. Comments are open until March 21st, and then our Transportation Committee will review comments and provide feedback to all of us, the commissioners here, and that we will review before we draft a letter and vote on it regarding this project at our April meeting. And that is all.
Very good. My update is simply to echo what Commissioner Blumenthal said. Go to our website, click on the Go Vocal presentation, say whatever you want to say. We want your thoughts, your ideas. And then we'll see everyone's. Commissioner Nowak.
Just a really brief reminder, one of my favorite topics, DC TAG, Tuition Assistance Grant for DC high school students and those who are already enrolled in a public university or college or an HBCU. TAG is now open for applications. I think it closes in August. Exciting news this year, the program, which had been funded at a rate of $10,000 per student per year, has been increased to $15,000 in recognition of the rising tuition costs across the country. And although there is an income cap associated with the program, it's a very generous cap. So I do encourage all of our families that might qualify, or even if you think you don't qualify, go check out DC TAG and check it out.
Very good. This is the part where any individual can bring up an issue or concern. We ask that if you do, that it not be something that's already on the agenda, because you can talk about it then. Does anyone wish to speak in the community concerns section now? Okay, we usually don't. So we'll move right to discussions. The first discussion is about ranked choice voting. Mr. Kabede is going to present from the DC Board of Elections, and I assume that he will want to be able to show a presentation.
I've requested that he unmute.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, he may have stepped away from his computer for a few minutes. We might come back to him, do you think?
Okay, well, Mr. Peterson's presentation doesn't take very long, so why don't we do that and come back to the Board of Elections. Mr. Peterson, you want to talk? Yes, there you are.
Hi, if I can actually call up a few of my colleagues, Katie Button, Dave Avidable. I don't know if Kelly's on. And Sherry is here also helping a little bit with our vote house. So I'm going to turn it over to Katie for the presentation. Oh, and Gilles, there you are. Sorry.
Hey everyone, I'm Katie Button. I'm the Associate Vice President for Federal Government Relations at Georgetown. So Corey and I are counterparts on the same team. And I'm also a Ward 3 resident, so this has been an insightful meeting for me to attend. So, as you may know, Georgetown has been working on, has idealized the idea of a boathouse along the Potomac for almost 40 years. And we have, through great partnership with the mayor's office and the Park Service, gotten to the point where we are actually making this happen. We're super excited. I have a very brief presentation to share. The boathouse obviously will not be in your ANC, it's in 2E, but because it will require a campus plan amendment and we have filed our notice of intent on zoning, we wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of and briefed on the project. So I'm gonna share my screen. All right, just a second. All right, this keeps happening where my screen sharing gets paused. Sorry, I'm going to try again. This happened the other night too. Okay. The background, as I said, this has been a long dream of Georgetown's, and over the last 6 years or so, we've been in close negotiations with the Park Service and the mayor's office to get to the point where last year we were able to announce what's essentially a land disposition agreement that will allow Georgetown to gain access to a site at the base of the Key Bridge to build a university boathouse. And again, as I mentioned, this will require a campus plan amendment. And so we look forward to engaging with you again on this. But this particular briefing is just about our notice of intent filing and starting that zoning process. So what we've been working on is these transactional documents, a land disposition agreement. As I mentioned, we did purchase a very small private parcel of land that's part of the site. And then again, last June, we made a public announcement. We're entering kind of another public phase right now where we are going back to OGB for concept design review. We went to them initially last summer and had positive feedback, but they wanted some tweaks, and I'll be able to show you the renderings that our architects have created. The zoning, again, is in process. There's a paper street, and actually, sorry, it's 35th Street, the paper street that runs under the Key Bridge that requires closing, even though it is literally encompassed by the footing of the Key Bridge. But so if you see anything about a street closing, it's not an actual street that will be closed for the purposes of the boathouse. The transfer of jurisdiction, because all of these sites, and I'll show you a map of what we're talking about, are a mix of Park Service jurisdiction, DC ownership, Park Service ownership, Georgetown ownership. And so a formal transfer of jurisdiction will go through in the next several months. And then the transaction does require DC Council legislation, which we're hoping will happen this summer and fall. So these are the sites we're talking about. On the far left is a site that Georgetown owns up the Capitol Crescent Trail. It is property we've had for decades. It does come with an easement along the Capitol Crescent Trail, which hypothetically would allow us to drive our trucks up and down the trail and store, rowing shells on the site. We haven't done that, but the Park Service was anxious to gain control of that property and get that easement extinguished. And the two other sites involved are what's called Site D and E, which are part of this non-motorized boathouse zone that the Park Service created with an environmental assessment that took place in kind of the 2010s. So right now, these two sites have a very complex series of ownerships and jurisdictions between sites D and E, some Park Service jurisdiction, some Park Service ownership, some DC ownership. And so we're kind of unraveling all of that to a future site, which will involve us donating our upriver parcel to the Park Service and extinguishing that easement along the Capitol Crescent Trail. We will gain control of what's called Site D to build our boathouse, and the district will regain control of Site E for community use. And they'll be working on those plans over the coming years. You may or may not know that the Georgetown Waterfront Park used to be federal highways lands. The Whitehurst Freeway was going to be twice as wide. And so what the federal highways transferred most of that back to the Park Service to create the Georgetown Waterfront Park. And so there's parts of that why the Park Service had jurisdiction over parts of this were because of that longstanding series of transactions. So this is the site where Georgetown will build their boathouse. It is currently occupied by Keybridge Boats, which is a concessionaire of the Park Services. They rent kayaks and paddle boards. That concessionaire will move to the left of the aqueduct, so that public access and that public rental facility will continue to operate. So that will not go away. So this is a rendering of the plans that we'll be taking back to OGB tomorrow, actually. It's a busy week. So the on the far left here is the aqueduct. This is the Potomac Boat Club. There are 3 privately owned townhouses here, and this is a rendering of the boathouse design as it currently stands. You can see here what it will look like from Water Street. And then just kind of further down from Water Street, you can see obviously Whitehurst Freeway overhead, the Key Bridge, and the townhouses. The site is quite constrained because we will be needing to preserve an easement for DDOT 15 feet to the south of the Whitehurst Freeway overhang and 15 feet to the west of the Key Bridge overhang. So it made for a tight spot, and as I've told everyone, if the shells were 10 feet longer, this site wouldn't work. So this is kind of what the footprint of the boathouse will look like. You can see here what the 60-foot shells look like in this bottom floor. This area under the bridge, we've negotiated with DDOT to be able to store our trailers that are used to take the shells to away regattas. This is the main dock, and an important point here that we've worked really closely with DEMPET on is to ensure public access to this site. We recognize that parts of the site have been public land, and we want to make sure that public access is ensured. So when the team is not practicing, the public will have access to the main dock, this main 180-foot dock, if they want to launch their own personal kayaks or paddle boards. And that's about 75% of daylight hours from March to November. This dock will be open to the public outside of the team practices. For the 25% or so of time that the team is using the dock, we will be building a public paddler launch here. There's kind of a gangway and then a 50-foot launch that would allow 4 to 8 simultaneous kayak launches, depending on where the tide is. So, basically 100% of daylight hours, the public will have access to this site in one fashion or another. And in terms of next steps, again, we have shared our notice of intent to start the zoning process. We are going back to OGB tomorrow. We are working on the DC Council legislation and the transfer of jurisdiction, both of which should happen sometime in 2026. And I just want to call out that none of this would have been possible without the mayor's commitment and support. She really drove if any of you have studied the history of this area, Georgetown tried to build a boathouse in the early 2000s. There were a lot of obstacles, and it was really because of the mayor's commitment to activating the Georgetown waterfront that we have been able to restart this process and get it to this point. So we're super grateful, and I know that all the parties are committed to getting this through in 2026. The entitlements and permitting, we think, will take about 2 years. So we're hoping to start construction in 2028 and be open for business in 2030. And happy to take any questions. Happy to go back to any slides if folks wanted to take another look, or else I'll stop sharing.
Are there any questions? Yes, Commissioner Blumenthal.
Sorry, I was so busy raising my virtual hand. Could you go back to the slide that has it was sort of a artist rendering of what the front of the building would look like? That you went right by it.
The Water Street side, yep.
The next one, the one with okay, so as I'm sure you know, to the left, to the right of this image and where this building will go is the terminus of the Capitol Crescent Trail. And to the left is a protected bike lane that connects with the Rock Creek Park Trail and the Virginia Avenue protected bike lane and the rest of the DC bike network. This is one of the busiest bike thoroughfares, not only in DC, but in the country. And I'm a little curious about the depiction of a bicycle, which seems to be sharing, I can't
Yeah,
tell, the
thank you.
sidewalk with
You're
pedestrians. That's a little worrisome to me.
no, that I can appreciate your confusion, and also I'm really glad you asked that because these have been a huge part of our conversations with ANC2E is making sure that that bike lane is protected, and we've actually been in really extensive conversations with DDOT over the last several months to work out a plan for this section of Water Street that protects the bike lane, allows for a loading zone in front of the boathouse, and also provides enhanced pedestrian access. So we're just not at the point to share those. We're in really detailed discussions with DDOT, but it wasn't to the point where we could present what that will, what that ultimate design will look like. But yes, the preservation and protection of the bike lane has been like at the forefront of those conversations.
Okay, thank you. Good to hear.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Button, for the informative presentation. I have a question about the existing concessionaire during the transition period. So I would assume as soon as you're able to get well, tell us about the timing, if you would, of when that concessionaire needs to exit their current location, and will they immediately have access to move upriver, or will there be a period of time when they are not able to operate?
Yeah, so the closing that kind of effectuates all the transfers will not happen until we're ready to start construction in 2028. So it will be business as usual until then. Um, and we're hoping for a seamless transition between them being able to move from this site to the other side of the aqueduct. As I'm sure you know, that's where DC Water is currently doing some work. So we're in really close communication with everyone to try and make sure that there's not a gap in that concessionaire. The Park Service has committed to making sure that the concessionaire is available. But we're hoping that the timing actually aligns. It's right now as we try and project it out, it looks like if anything, it's a matter of a couple months. But we're relying on knowing exactly when DC Water is going to finish their work. But that is certainly, again, I'm glad you raised that. But that's been a constant thread of communication around the project, is trying to make sure that the concessionaire continues to be available.
I'm not I'm having a hard time picturing in my mind right now. They have a building, do they not, or are they just
They have kind of a shed. They have like two, there's I'd say they're not super permanent structures, but yes, there's like a little like office-ish building, and then there's one where I think they sell food and beverages. Like, so yes, there are some light construction there, but nothing that they aren't prepared to
And
move.
so the timeline that you outlined would have them able to build whatever they need. So,
Right, or even move those structures. I'm not, again, they don't like have a foundation.
Okay.
So yes, the idea is to get them to be able to move right over to that site, which is called Site C, around the time when we're starting construction.
Okay, thank
I don't
you.
know, Jill, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I would just say that it's great that we have a great partner with the Park Service, and we've been working together on this project for so many years that our communication is ongoing, and we've discussed the concessionaire, discussed the need of the community to have access to this concessionaire and the waterfront. So I think all three parties are focused on not only the future of the boathouse for Georgetown, but also continued access along the whole waterfront for the community. So it's front and center for our discussions.
Great, thank you. Oh, one additional question before I yield. Parking, you talked about parking of the trailers for the shells. How about for your coaches and other visitors to the boathouse? Are you dependent on street spots, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so for the coaches, we will rent spots further east on Water Street. So we don't anticipate really daily vehicular traffic. The students, the student athletes will mostly just walk or run down from campus. Some may ride their bikes. We're gonna have plenty of bike racks. But no, there's no parking at the site, private parking at the site. And as you know, street parking down there is challenging. So we have again discussed with ANC2E that we will commit to renting parking for the coaches, private parking for them.
Okay, thank you.
And most, in terms of like regattas and big events, the other teams will kind of launch from Thompson's. Like we don't have the facility to launch other teams' boats from our site. So that, again, we don't anticipate other teams bringing their trailers and shells to our site. That will likely happen at Thompson's.
Commissioner Elkins?
Ms. Button, thank you for this presentation. I commend the universities for sticking with this complex as I've ever heard of. And so congratulations to the university for doing that. And I agree with you, it has some benefits to the whole public. As you look forward to possible and to the involvement of ANC3D in this project, of course, this is primarily a 2E project. Where do you see us involved and what timing? I assume it's primarily the campus plan, but maybe it's more than that. What is, as you look forward, what are you thinking that our involvement would be?
I believe that's the extent of it, but let me turn to Corey to add anything.
Yeah, it's a great question, Commissioner Elkins. A couple of places. One, we've been able to brief our community partnership twice on the project, and so I think continued engagement with the representative to our steering committee is a great way to do that. I think if there's extra feedback that you have as we're continuing this along, we're always open to that. And then we'll be back in May at your May meeting to do a more fulsome presentation and ask for a resolution and support as we continue down the path on this project.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And we've been in touch with Councilmember Fruman's office as well to make sure that, in part, because he represents Ward 3, but also because of his committee chairmanship, that will involve approval of the boathouse as well. So his office has asked for a detailed briefing as well.
But just one follow-on. The interaction with the zoning commission is in the context of the campus plan. Is there any BZA involvement at this point? I mean, I'm just trying to focus in on where the action is.
Katie, would you like me to speak to that?
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
No problem. So Dave Avitable with Coulson and Soares, who's land use counsel for the university on this. So we're going to the university. It'll be sort of like any other building on campus. We'll go to them for the campus plan amendment and further processing for the building at the same time. And as a part of that, there is some zoning relief we anticipate we may need. Having an education use within a floodplain requires a special exception. The building is obviously located within the normal waterfront setback because the boathouse has to be up against the water, that sort of thing. So all of that will be within the same proceeding. And so that's what we would be coming to the ANC for you all to weigh in on as well, while it's primarily a 2E project because it's part of the campus plan, we would come to you for that as well. And I think that's where Corey said we're targeting May. We haven't filed the application yet. We don't have a hearing date, but our estimate is sometime this summer, June, July. So that's why we would come back to you in May.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions? Well, that was very good. Thank you so much for the presentation, and we look forward to working with you.
Thanks for your time.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's turn to the Board of Elections. Very good.
Good evening, everyone. Let me 1 second while I get my PowerPoint on. Can you all see my screen?
We can.
Perfect, lovely. Okay. So my name is Yoenhara Kabeda, and I'm a public affairs specialist at the DC Board of Elections. And today I'm here to talk about ranked choice voting and how DC will be implementing that, starting with the June 2026 primary election. So before I even talk about what ranked choice voting is, I want to talk about how we got here. And this is all due to Initiative 83, in which DC residents voted on during the November general election. and there was overwhelming support for that initiative. The DC Council then chose to fund it, and so we've been tasked at the board with implementing it starting in our June primary election. In terms of what contests ranked choice voting will apply to here in the district, so it'll apply for every single contest, starting from president and vice president all the way to our advisory neighborhood commissions, with the exception of the state party or local party elections. So long as there are 3 candidates in a contest, ranked choice voting can be applicable. And then now to go into what ranked choice voting is and how it will work specifically in DC. So as you might hear in the word ranked choice voting, voters are able to rank their candidates in the order of their preference. And if there are they can rank up to 5 candidates if there are 4 or more candidates within a contest. And with DC specifically, as long as there are 3 candidates or more, a contest is subject to ranked choice voting. And the idea is that instead of a winner being selected based on the candidate that receives the most votes, a candidate will be selected based on the person that receives the majority of the votes. So this can lead to going in subsequent rounds, hence why we have voters rank their choices. If in the first round of kind of tabulation, there isn't one candidate that clears that 50% plus 1 threshold, then we're forced to move to subsequent rounds in which a voter's vote will then transfer to their next choice of candidate until there's candidate that clears that 50% plus 1 threshold. So in terms of how this will work, as mentioned, the vote stays with your top candidate as long as that candidate remains in the contest. The only way a candidate gets eliminated is if they receive the fewest number of votes. Their votes will then get transferred over to their next candidate or their next preferred candidate. And now I'll talk a little bit about just how to properly mark the ballot so that your ballot gets counted. So again, just filling 1 oval per column, so only giving 1 candidate 1 ranking, up to 5 if there are 4 or more candidates for that rank. And voters are not required to rank candidates, but we do at the board encourage voters to exercise their full voting power, but they are also more than welcome to select just 1 candidate. And so as you see here, this voter has ensured that they've only selected 1 rank per candidate. So this will be marked as a valid contest in this case. And now I'm going to talk a bit about some mistakes to avoid. So giving 1 candidate multiple rankings, that doesn't harm nor help the candidate. The vote just stays with that candidate. But if that candidate is then eliminated because that person's vote stays with the candidate, they're no longer able to have any of their votes transferred to any other candidates for this specific contest. So this will result in an inactive contest, but not the ballot. Not sure about this. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. And then in the second instance, multiple candidates were given the same ranking. So this also results in inactive ballot because we're not able to determine voter intent. So the voter's first choice will be marked as active and the vote will stay with that candidate. But this contest becomes inactive at the point of their second selection since they've selected both Donald Duck and Chuck Brown as their second choice. So essentially what this means is if Beyonce remains in the rounds, so this voter's vote will stay with Beyonce, but if Beyonce does get eliminated, then this contest is no longer valid, and that's where it stops here for this voter. Another mistake to avoid is skipping. So in the case of skipping once, the legislation does allow 1 skip. This doesn't mark your ballot as inactive, but it is a mistake because we try to encourage people to exercise their full vote and just rank in order, it becomes a mistake at the second consecutive skip, as per the legislation. So we at the board did not choose that. This is what the proponents of ranked choice voting decided. So in this case, this complete contest will be inactive because they did not select a first or second choice. And now for the tabulation. So if this were regular voting without the implementation of ranked choice voting, it would be clear that candidate A is the winner. But because we're doing ranked choice voting, there are no candidates that have cleared that 50% plus one threshold. So we'd go into a second round in which candidate C is eliminated from this contest, and their votes will then get transferred to the voter's second choice or next preference candidate. So in this case, that results in the votes as you see here on the screen. There's still not a candidate that's cleared that threshold. So we move into a round 3 in which candidate B actually does clear that threshold. So by ranked choice voting, candidate B would be declared the winner instead of candidate A. In terms of what to expect, we do want to preface that voting will take a little bit longer because of the amount of contests on a ballot, as well as the number of candidates. So we do want to be transparent and ask, for people to keep that in mind when they do go to vote in a vote center. But we do have the opportunity as well for people to vote by mail, just as they would in any other election. We're also offering residents the opportunity to bring their mail-in ballots into a vote center and get assistance as well should they need it. There will be guidance on RCV at the vote center, so there will be site coordinators that are trained to specifically guide voters and help explain the process to them as well. And for every single registered voter, the mail-in ballots will also include detailed instructions on how to properly complete the ballot, as well as some mistakes to avoid. In terms of what results reporting would look like, it's going to be a bit different, but the things that are going to remain the same is that preliminary results will still be posted on election night. That's not going to change. But in terms of when we'll be able to certify the election, we're still working on the regulations for that, as we can receive ballots up to 10 days from election day, so long as they are postmarked by election day. So we'll share that information as it becomes available as well. And the results will be available on our website. We'll also be sharing the results of specific rounds as well. We'll be transparent with the public about that. We haven't decided if we'll do any round tabulation on election night, but regardless of when that's done, we will definitely share that with the public as well. In terms of what we at the board are doing to ensure that the public is educated, so we do have a webpage dedicated to ranked choice voting on our website. If you go to dcboe.org/RCV, we also have a resource lab at our office, which is just a room filled with voting equipment, both paper ballots as well as questions where a member of the board will help guide residents on how to actually vote this new way, as well as FAQs and palm cards. And we also have an explanation video and voter guide, as well as mailers for the public to be able to use to take advantage of. And lastly, we have, we do multiple speaking engagements. So if any of you all are interested in us coming and presenting, whether that be virtually like this or even in person, feel free to reach out to the email on the screen, outreach@dcboe.org, or even an email dedicated solely to ranked choice if there are any lingering questions outside of this presentation.
Great. Commissioner Nowak?
Thank you for that informative presentation. I have just a couple of quick questions to make sure I understood properly. The first one goes to the inactive ballot because of errors in the marking. You went through a few examples. Does that invalidate only the vote for that position, or does it invalidate the full ballot?
Do you mind repeating your question, please?
Sure. So if I were voting for mayor and I made an error on the mayor's rank. You know, instead of doing 1, 2, 3, I did 1 and 2 twos, or any other of the examples that you gave. But then I also voted correctly for my council member. Would both of those votes be invalidated? Is the whole ballot bad, or just the individual position?
Sure, great question. So it's not the entire ballot that becomes inactive, it's just that specific contest. So in this case, it would be the mayor. And it'll only be invalid when you make that mistake. So any rankings before that will definitely count. So your first choice would definitely count. And your vote will just stay with that first candidate and won't get transferred over if that candidate does get eliminated.
Great. Okay, thank you. And then the second question was, did I hear that this is for federal elections as well as citywide races? So president and vice president?
I'm sorry, what was that? I think my internet is cutting in and out. My apologies.
This process will clearly apply to citywide elections, council, mayor, etc. Did I hear
Yes,
that it also applies to the presidential race, which we don't have this year, but in the future certainly will?
correct. Yes. So long as there are 3 or more candidates in a specific contest, any contest is subject to ranked choice voting, with the exception of state or local party offices.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? Yes, Commissioner Colin Roosevelt.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. It's super informative. I hope you get to give it all around DC. My question is about the tabulation. You say that they haven't decided yet when they'll post ranked choice results. So does that mean like, we'll have initial results on election night, but it'll take like a week to actually get unless someone clears 50% election night, people won't know who won?
Yes, so great question. And honestly, it might take more than a week because we do have that 10-day period where we can accept ballots. And so the timeline around that, we're not certain yet. We haven't decided if we'll tabulate as we go along, or if we're just going to wait till that 10-day period to begin the tabulation process.
So you wouldn't offer, or you haven't decided whether or not you'll offer like an initial, like, here is what ranked choice might possibly look like if these are all the votes.
Yeah, so we're still working on that. And then once we do have updates and we've officially finalized that, we'll be sharing that with the public as well.
Great. Commissioner Blumenthal?
Yeah, I think you've answered the question, but just for Commissioner Colin Roosevelt's benefit, I know in New York City, where they implemented ranked choice for the first time last year, I believe they reported first choices on election night on more or less the same schedule. As New York is very slow, but they had most of the first choices counted, and then it took some number of days before they released the full ranking. And that may be the best we can expect. Obviously DC is still deciding.
Are there any other questions? All right, well, that was very helpful. Let's move to official actions. I'd like to change the order a little bit just because there are people waiting. Whoever is here for Little Beast liquor license, can you go off of mute and let's get you. Is someone here for Little Beast liquor license? Okay. Well, then let's go back to the regular order. The first official action is 4403 W Street curb cut. This is something that Commissioner Simkowitz was working on. And Catherine, could you show that picture? This is a situation where there is this house that had a it had a driveway and a curb cut along this street, and then they renovated the house and built this garage there without the curb cut. And so what they propose to do is to eliminate the current curb cut and put a curb cut here leading to their garage. It would not change how much of the curb is available for parking because they're removing one and adding one. And as you can see, it's a very weird situation, and it's hard to see how we got to this point. But what I would like to do is to make a motion to approve Commissioner Simcoe's letter to for the Public Space Committee, which would approve of this public space change, the curb cut, and would approval is predicated on the condition that the owner placed grass over the existing driveway leading to the rear of the home and pay to reinstall the curb where there is an existing curb cut. Thus, the new curb cut will be directly in front of the owner's garage, and the existing curb cut will be returned to grass and full curb. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Is anyone, I see Andrew Heimert has his hand raised. Is any commissioner want to speak before I ask him? Mr. Heimert?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for calling on me. So I don't have a concern about the proposal to basically move the curb cut from the sort of the driveway on the side to in front of the garage. That all makes sense. But this house also has two curb cuts on the other corner and a circular drive. So this house has three curb cuts when the usual number is one, and that's sort of DDOT's general approach, and maybe two if you have a circular drive if the circumstances warrant it. But here it's a house that has both the normal curb cut going to the garage. Okay, fair enough. But also is retaining the two curb cuts on the other corner of the house, the other street, that it just seemed excessive to have three curb cuts that take away from street parking and generally speaking seem to be well beyond what would be approvable in the ordinary circumstance for any house.
Catherine, could you show that picture with the horseshoe driveway?
And I guess I should add also one of those two on the horseshoe is very close to the corner, which I think would not be in an approvable position, generally speaking, for a driveway that close to a corner of any intersection.
I captured this picture off of Google Maps. It's from 2018. I haven't looked at this property, but is this what it looks like, basically?
Yeah, that looks like it represents the current situation, although maybe one of those cars is parked in front of the driveway. But yes, that's accurate, as best I can tell.
Okay, well, that is our situation. Yes, Commissioner Elkins?
If this case were coming up new, I think the district would say you cannot park a car in front of the house like they're showing there. This is one of the other things that I think is a violation of current rules, that you can't have a circular driveway that allows people to park in front of their house. You're not supposed to park in front of your house. You're supposed to park in the driveway. So it's another reason that I think Mr. Hammer is correct, that this seems quite excessive, and it's not clear how they ever got approval for this in the first place.
Yes, Commissioner Nowak.
I hear and I understand what our colleagues are saying. But it doesn't seem as though the circular drive is under consideration here. Presumably that's already been approved. So for me, it seems like it's a one-for-one swap from the existing curb cut that is, I assume, outside the scope of the photograph that we saw, and then to move it closer to the garage. Now,
But
if we want to put on a condition on our letter saying that you can have your garage cut if you're willing to give up your circular drive cut, I guess that's within our authority to make that recommendation to the Public Space Committee, but they're not asking for a new circular drive. They already have that.
Well, that's the way they phrased it. They phrased it as a one-for-one, but the question is whether, since the circular drive may not really be legal, whether that's something we should just ignore.
I guess I think Mr. Heimer has the same question I was just about to ask, is what do we have any reference as to whether the circular drive was approved when the home was built or renovated or however it came to be? And without knowing that, we can't opine on that.
One approach, Commissioner, we might try that might be sort of a compromise is essentially say that we would just ask the Public Space Committee to address the question of whether having 3 curb cuts is appropriate. That we don't take a position with regard to that, but we just call it to their attention. Let the Public Space Committee, which deals with these kind of cases all the time, essentially deal with that. But to phrase it the way the petitioner wants it, which is one-for-one, seems a little narrow to me.
If we go with that, Commissioner Elkins, what would be our recommendation vis-a-vis the requested relief or the requested authorization?
Well, that's a good question. I think I would phrase it as we see the need for a curb cut for the garage. But that we leave to the Public Space Committee the question of how many remaining curb cuts there should be. In other words, I think we can all agree if you have a garage like that, you need a curb cut, right? You don't want to drive over the curb all the time. But the question of having 3 curb cuts is an issue I think the Public Space Committee should address, and we don't need to take position on it.
It does seem odd that the home would be built without a curb cut having been approved at the time. Again, it's unclear to me whether it's a new build or a renovation, but typically when new homes are built, that's when we see these curb cut requests, not at some later date. So it does give me a little pause, wondering if they got the circular driveway at the time of construction and are now looking to take a second bite at the apple with their garage cut.
Well, I've had a case where I thought that the owner sort of played a trick on us. They basically, I can't remember all the details, but it was they ended up with the circular driveway they wanted and a parking space in front of the house, which they sort of said they didn't want. So I think there are tricks that people play. I have no idea what happened here, of course.
Yeah, right.
I guess what I'm trying to say, Commissioner, is that the enforcement of these rules is not as strict as you would expect, and that people do get away with things, which later I think, in this case, ending up with 3 curb cuts is raises an issue. And I think rather than for us to judge what the history of it was, since we don't have that, but it would be in the files with the Public Space Committee, would be simply to flag this as an issue that we would expect them to address at the same time they're addressing whether or not to allow this curb cut for the garage, and that we understand and support the idea that if you have a garage, you need a curb cut.
How about we call attention to the circular driveway in front of the house and ask the Public Space Committee to what?
Evaluate the new request in light of the existing cuts.
Yes, that would be good. I think Mr. Heimer may have a comment.
Yes, Mr. Heimer.
I think language along that lines is appropriate. I do want to note that the circular drive, as I said, I think in my initial intervention, one end of it is too close to the intersection to meet current requirements. I believe you have to be at least 25 feet, if not further, from the corner of an intersection. So it would not be in compliance with current approval rules. That was not well phrased. Apologies. But it would not be approvable now as currently designed, which may also shed some light on its origins. I don't know. But I think those rules have been in place for quite some time. So it may well be that, as Commissioner Elkins has maybe intimated, I don't want to say too much, Chuck, about what you were saying, but we don't know the history of how this got there in the first place.
I think that this is a good idea because the Public Space Committee doesn't necessarily know that this circular driveway is there. And so we bring it to their attention and they will have someone look at it before they approve.
So do we want to just gilding the lily a little bit, Chair Horn, on the if the ANC were presented of the question of moving the curb cut in a vacuum, we would have approved, and I obviously would have to put that question to a vote. However, we do call to the attention of the PSC sort of all the things we've just talked about.
Right. And I think maybe Mr. Heimer's point, could we just add a little phrase, and we also note the closeness of one of the curb cuts to the intersection, but without saying it's in violation or whatever. We don't, we're not taking an opinion. We're just bringing it to the attention of the committee that deals with these things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I've written notes and I would move, I ask for a second to accept, well, maybe I don't need a second. I would take as a friendly amendment altering this letter as we have discussed, and that is to say that essentially if this were a one-to-one taking and creating of a curb cut, the ANC wouldn't question it, but we call the attention of the Public Space Committee to the circular driveway in front of the house and ask them to evaluate that and the fact that one end of it is rather close to the corner, to evaluate that in light of as part of their consideration of this. And I would write it nicer than that. But I'd also go over there tomorrow and so that I could really describe it better.
I think that makes sense.
All right. All in favor of this letter as amended? 4 or is it 5? Yes, 5-0. Thank you very much. The next one is the letter to the Department of Buildings about weekend and holiday hours for construction at the field school. This is kind of a standard thing that we're asked to do, which is to allow for construction during certain holidays. And this letter lists the holidays from DC Emancipation Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, and says that that we would consent to the field school's request. Is there a second for that letter? Commissioner Nowak seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of this letter, the field school? 5-0 in favor. Thank you. Is there someone from Little Beast here now? On the agenda, this would be the right time to do that. Well, I have a letter approving liquor license for Little Beast. Is there a second so we can discuss it? Commissioner Elkins seconds it. So Little Beast is, if you haven't been there, it's in the space that was the Fox, which was, kind of a coffee shop. And Little Beast is mostly a pizza place. It is a small space, really. And both sides of it are owned by Heather Gustafson, once the Palisades preschool, Montessori preschool. And the other side used to be an art store, which is now being renovated. So she's all in favor. The immediate neighbors are in favor. And the block in that area, that space, is a number of commercial stores and restaurants, one in a row, and then across the street are 3 restaurants. So right now there are 5 restaurants within literal stone's throw, which have liquor licenses. This would be they're asking for a liquor license, and I just can't imagine it would be that much traffic as a result. So I'm in favor of it. And Commissioner Elkins.
I'm not familiar with this area quite as well as others may be. Is there any outside dining there?
There is not. They may request it, but if they do, they'll have to come back to us.
I would be concerned about the noise, but that doesn't seem to be an issue here, so I would not have any objection.
So they're not asking for a summer garden amendment on the liquor license?
No, they are not. Although they may come back. They have a very small area in front where the Fox had a couple of small tables, and they may ask to do something in the front, but this would not apply to that. Commissioner Blumenthal?
Jeez, I had something covering up my screen. And by the front, you mean the sidewalk. The sidewalk's not very big there, but again, it's not relevant here. Are you troubled at all that I'm still a new commissioner, that there's no one here from Little Beast?
Is
that
I
concern?
contacted them and talked to a representative, and they said they were going to be here.
Yeah, I'm a tiny bit torn. This is a positive addition to the neighborhood. I've heard good things about the restaurant. We ordered from it. The food's good. My sort of, on the other hand, was this odd thing that happened this morning. They opened up breakfast, coffee service, either today or recently, which is, in the absence of black coffee, there's kind of and the Fox that was there before, there aren't great places to go. You have to go to Compass Coffee in Massachusetts Avenue. And they chose to announce this by placing, I swear I am not exaggerating, 100 signs on the median of MacArthur this morning. I mean, like a lot of signs. And when I came back, my wife had a dental appointment, and we came back, I saw a district employee, I'm not sure which agency, who was having to pick every single one of these things up. That's not, I don't know. I might write that off to sort of over exuberance, but the combination of those two things, not being here and not being a very good neighbor this morning, gives me a little bit of pause. But again, I mean, I think it's a positive contribution to the neighborhood, and I'm sure it's a fine business.
Mr. Chairman, do we know when we would need to act on this? I mean, it is possible, perhaps. I mean, with regard to some of these restaurants, we do have agreements with them about rats and trash and this sort of thing, and we've sort of set a policy we would have these kind of settlement agreements. I mean, that may be overkill in this case. I'm not trying to say it needs it, but it does bother me a little bit that, particularly with what Commissioner Blumenthal said, they may not know the basic rule on MacArthur is you do not put signs in
That's likely, but yeah.
That is a local policy that is very strongly felt. So that could have been a mistake, but maybe there does need to be a little dialogue here.
The problem is that I'm looking at the notice. The roll call hearing date is April 6th, and next month, instead of doing it on the first Wednesday, because of Passover, we're doing it on the second Wednesday, which is the 8th. So we would miss our date.
Whose district is this? Is this yours, Commissioner Horn?
Yeah, it is mine.
Would you be willing to have a conversation with the owner? We would approve it tonight, but sort of say we have these concerns, but we're trusting that they will be good neighbors. But I don't know. It just seems to me leaving it as just an approval without any conversation may not be the right thing to do. We have such good relationship with so many of these restaurants. We don't need an outlier.
I would, absolutely. Commissioner Colin Roosevelt?
You kept asking for them during the Zoom call. Was there did they say they would be here? I feel like it's very rare for us to approve one of these licenses without someone coming and presenting, to be honest.
Yes, I did. I did by email, and Tricia sent them an Instagram message, and I did speak to someone who called me, and they said they'd definitely be here. That's why I kept calling on them, because I thought they would be here. Commissioner Nowak?
So I have two questions. One has to do with ABCA. And I'm curious if you can tell us what you know about the dates. I thought they needed to give reasonable amount of time for the ANC to consider liquor licenses, and it would seem there's a possibility, I guess, if it's 45 days that the dates just fell, unfortunately for us, but it seems like we should have additional time to consider.
The notice says that the placard posting date was January 30th, and that the protest petition deadline is March 16th. And then the roll call hearing is April 6th. I suppose that means we have to act before March 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly ask them to delay, but I hate to delay these people. They have, I'm looking at the notice. It's 35 seats. Yeah, seating capacity of 35. It's really small.
So what so that was an ABCA process question. My second one, though, goes to following up on what Commissioner Elkins was saying, which is I thought we had agreed as a commission that we were going to request settlement agreements or MOUs or something with all new liquor licenses in the neighborhood. And it could be quick and simple. And, you know, when we did the bank pop one, I think it was very non-controversial. But I hate for them to not have to go through that process that we're asking all of our other restaurateurs to go through.
Well,
did the Fox have a license? Is this a transfer or is this a net new license?
It's new. I don't think the Fox had alcohol. It says it's a new license.
Well, if we wanted to be firm in this regard, we could say, we could vote tonight that we approve on the basis that there will be a settlement agreement negotiated between Commissioner Horn and the restaurant based on our traditional settlement agreements. And that if that is not possible, that we would authorize the chairman to issue to protest. I think the protest then would maybe be settled before we got. Maybe it would be enough pressure that we would essentially end up with some kind of agreement, and then we, at our April 8th meeting, we can approve the settlement agreement. It's not quite the timing we would wish, but it does sort of keep the tradition that I think Commissioner Noblock raised, that of having a settlement agreement with these restaurants along, particularly the ones along MacArthur Boulevard, and we should treat everybody sort of equally. And our settlement agreements are not extreme. Keep your garbage and trash in appropriate ways so that rats do not congregate. Do not create parking problems. I mean, it's just, they're really, I would not think that they would find this a burdensome thing to sign. Of course, they're not required to sign one.
Right. I would go for that.
Okay. So restating is the question is that we approve the endorsement of the license predicated on Commissioner Horn reaching satisfactory settlement agreement. The authority to negotiate will delegate to him. And in the absence of such, then we'll file a protest by the 16th.
With maybe an amendment that Commissioner Horn's authority to negotiate a settlement is along the lines of other settlement agreements.
Sure.
Some bounds. So he's not given authority to impose ridiculous things, which of course, but I'm just trying
to tell them they can only serve alcohol between 12:30 and 12:45 each day.
And just so I'm clear on this, reaching a settlement agreement means Commissioner Horn to you what? Verbal?
No,
Signed
it's written.
agreement?
Signed, right?
Signed agreement. Okay.
Well, I think we would ultimately sign it on April 8th, but we
Right.
would be
Understood. Right.
commissioning.
Well, I'd want to see the Fox or the Little Beast sign it before we remove our protest, and then we can ratify on the 8th.
Right. And Commissioner Horn knows that the boundaries on which we would be willing to sign an agreement because we've signed other agreements in similar ways.
Yeah, they're all pretty much the same.
Right. And this has the advantage it probably does not have a noise component, so that simplifies it.
Yeah.
Okay, I would accept that as a friendly amendment. All in favor? 5 to nothing. Let's move on to the DC budget cuts for Man Elementary, Commissioner Elkins.
Well, I heard just about a week ago that in fact in the run-up to the mayor's budget, fiscal year 27 budget, the school system was probably given a mark which is probably below the 2026 mark, to come up with a budget to bring forward to the mayor. And of course, they needed to look around for how they were going to allocate the money they had, and I'm guessing that's what happened. But what really did happen for sure is that they gave Horace Mann School a mark of considerable cut, about $500,000, which the only school maybe the only elementary school, I'm not sure on that, certainly the only elementary school in Ward 3 that took a cut. So this, of course, has been a concern to the community, and the school reached out to Councilmember Fruman, and there's been a lot of discussion about that. And the ultimate result is, as of today, it looks like that cut has been eliminated, except maybe I don't have the exact number, but around $100,000. And so we had written a letter before we knew that today that essentially says, oh, please don't cut Horace Mann, because when you think about our communities, Key School and Horace Mann are two of the major assets of our community, and people move here to send their children there. And so we certainly are interested in protecting them in a reasonable way. So I have rewritten the letter to essentially express appreciation for the fact that DCPS has decided to restore the major personnel person that had been cut, and that it ends up by saying we are asking the mayor and the council throughout the entire fiscal year 2027 development process, which ends up this summer, to maintain Horace Mann at the same level or above where they were in fiscal year 26. That's not where they are now. There may be $100,000 down, but we would be expressing the concern that they be at this year's budget level. We were only at the beginning of this budget process. It's going to be a really tough budget as far as we can hear at this point. Cuts are going to have to be made all over the government. And so what we are expressing is that Horace Mann is a valuable asset for our community, and we hope the mayor and the council will do their best to keep them at level funding this year. I think that is a helpful comment at this point for us to make. And so I'm moving that we send a letter to the mayor, to Councilmember Fruman, and to the chairman of the council, Chairman Mendelson, asking that they watch out for Horace Mann as we go forward.
And I second the motion. Is there any Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote on the letter. All in favor? 5-0 in favor. Let's move to commission business. Treasurer's report, Commissioner Elkins.
Yes, we had two expenditures this month. We had our usual support from Ms. Blakely for $635. And we also had our yearly subscription for Dropbox, which I think all the commissioners know is where we keep all of our documents. And that was $169. So those were the expenditures. We ended up with 35,500 in our checking account and about $45,000 in our savings account. So there's no need for the commission to approve this, but this is my statutorily required duty to tell you where the finances of the commission are at this time.
All right. Any questions about that?
Hey, just one other thing, Mr. Chairman, in case anybody knows about this. At one point last fiscal year, the library asked us for a grant, and we gave it for, I believe, outdoor furniture, which we thought was a worthy thing. But of course, they did not want to ask us for the actual check until they got the go-ahead to actually buy the furniture and outfit the outside area there. We have not heard from them, and therefore that money is still in the Treasury and will remain there until they request the money. But if they do request the money, I'm prepared as treasurer to dispense it since we have approved it. If anybody knows anybody at the library, or they're friends of the library, is really who we're talking about. The friends of the library, perhaps Commissioner Duncan might know some people there. But in any case, I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the commission.
Very good. The next order of business is the Georgetown Community Partnership representative. I nominate Commissioner Simkowitz to be our Georgetown Community Partnership representative. Any discussion? All right. All in favor of that?
I will second, just for the record.
For the record, yes, thank you. Good point. All right, and that was 5-0. And
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I know the commissioner is not here, so maybe this could be done in another meeting as well. But one thing that I think that both representatives to the partnership at American University, which Commissioner Duncan and I are, and shared functions there, primarily as Commissioner Duncan, and now Commissioner Simkowitz. A lot of discussion goes on at the university appropriately, but I think we would ask that both of those representatives be diligent in bringing forward to the commission their views with regard to things. Just take the case of the boathouse that's coming forward now. We will hear from the university as appropriate, as we saw. But I would also like to hear from our representative, who will be sitting in on a number of conversations which were much more detailed than we will ever have here at the commission. I'd like to have their judgment about any issues that may be of importance to our commission, which may or may not be raised by the university. So, and I'm being equal-handed here. I think American University is the same thing. I think we've tried to do that in the past, but I think we need to be more diligent. I think that's what it means, I think, to be a representative, is it's not just to sit in the meetings at the university, but also bring forward an objective, independent view to the commission, separate from what we're hearing from the university. In most cases, of course, it will be approval of what the university is asking, because the representative will have already dealt with issues internally. But I think we should know what those issues were, neighborhood related issues were. I wonder whether Commissioner Nowak agrees or disagrees with that, because you've had the experience recently with Georgetown.
I think it's a fair ask. I think in my experience with Georgetown, I have always felt as though they have given fair reporting to the commission. I would say, and I think Mr. Peterson would agree, that I've been an active participant in discussions and sometimes dissenting. So I think that the ANC has been well represented, and I'm confident that Commissioner Simkowitz will feel free to dissent if he disagrees with things that are being presented.
No, I'm confident of that, Commissioner. I guess I'm saying that in some cases the dissent is quite worthy within the internal things, and that basically settles it, and there's no need to bring the issue forward to the commission as a whole. But in other cases, it may be that there are issues that are important to the neighborhood which were compromised appropriate, within the process, in which are only one representative among many, and that the university may feel that those issues are settled, but that we represent the neighborhood, all of us represent the neighborhood, and need to make sure that we're watching out for that. That's all I'm asking, that it not be considered that negotiations within the representative partnerships in both cases are sufficient in every case.
That's fair.
Very good. So I'm giving notice of the next meeting, which is April 8th. Again, a virtual meeting. Is there anything else before we adjourn the meeting?
Yeah.
Did we approve the minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Can I just add,
I'm sorry.
before we get off it, just to, Catherine asked me to interject here, that the next Transportation Committee meeting will be March 17th at 2 o'clock. We try to do these things on the third Tuesday of the month, for those who want to put it on your calendar for future months.
The minutes.
If I can make a motion to approve the February minutes, they are found on the website, and hearing no edits from the commissioners, they are as prepared.
And I second that motion. Is there any discussion of the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes? It's 5-0. Okay. Did I forget anything else? Okay. And no one has anything else? All right. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting, and this is one of our shorter meetings, which is great. Thank you all, and thank you everyone that participated.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.